welcome to episode 485 of the Spitballing Pod. I'm Luke Byron, joined as always by Tom Kennett and Jack Harper. We have plenty to get into. A late Trossard goal and a last-minute intervention from VAR ensured that Arsenal remained clear at the top of the Premier League with only 2 games to go. Man City had applied pressure on Saturday night when they put 3 past Brentford, and there were big wins for Bournemouth and Brighton in their hunt for European qualification. There are also 5 draws across the remaining fixtures, including Chelsea's visit to Anfield. We'll get into all of that and more. TK, Jack, how are we doing today?
Not as good as you, I imagine.
All the worse for seeing how good you are.
Well, I'll be honest, we're going to cover the football for sure.
Fantastic.
But previously I thought, as everyone, and as I'm sure you kind of both feel now, it was a case of get past West Ham, and that's the big one, really. I've never been so scared of Fleming and Burnley in all my life.
It's pathetic. Pathetic.
I have to admit,
22 years.
The commitment to the bit has to be.
Look, it's worked so far, so you got to give it a minute.
Yeah.
If it was a bit, it wouldn't be a very good one. And also, I don't think it would even be believable.
There's people listening.
Yeah, it's worked for you.
Well, it's not a bit. That's what I mean. This is real life emotions.
Come on, I saw over there you bought some cigars. Come on, earlier you said it's a parade now.
That guy.
You said this is the longest parade ever. 2 games, easy.
The guy that's got the champions on the back of the Arsenal shirt in the away end yesterday. That's you.
He was a plant. I 100% believe that he was.
There's a lot of plants online in that case.
I guess it's a good place to kind of vocalise this dilemma I'm having. So people do when we've lost it the last couple of years, last one, no plans in place, but they've done the Arsenal actually planned for a parade and it didn't happen. Like Arsenal can just the night before say, we're going to get this big bus, we're going to drive through the whole of London and we're going to do that. Obviously these plans have to be put in place. So provisionally, I know when it's booked for, and because of the World Cup, and I guess if we were to win the league and not the Champions League, it's going to be weird because they have to fly back from Budapest and it would be the next day.
That would be odd.
Yeah. And so I know when it's going to be, I see the price of everything rising, tickets selling out. The superstitious man that I am, but also, if I counterbalance that, the well-prepared man that I like to be.
Yeah.
Do I risk jinxing us by booking travel? Because ultimately I'll just have to hold that. If we don't win it, that'll be the least of my problems, that I've lost money on a train or whatever it's going to be. But I can't not be there if we do it. Like I had a discussion with Troy and he was like, I just don't think that would really be for me even if we did get there. And I said, I kind of feel the same, but the FOMO of not doing it would be too much to deal with. So I've kind of got this week to decide really whether to pull the trigger or not pull the trigger.
I think you've answered your own question.
Yeah,
I think you're going to do
it. I've always looked at those kind of parades and thought it would be good whilst the bus goes by, but that's like an 8-hour day to get a good spot for like 30 seconds of seeing the bus when you could watch it.
TK went to the...
It was longer than an 8-hour day in the end, as it transpired.
What was it like? Was it worth it?
No, it was good. And there was a good atmosphere and stuff. And if you go with a mate or two, whatever, it's a good day out. Obviously, very, very nearly not getting home was a bit squeaky. But being locked out at the train station, not getting home until about 4 a.m. was a tough one. That was a long day, especially when it's like pissing down as well.
Yeah,
I mean, not the worst thing that happened on that parade, I guess. I can't really go complaining too much, can I?
God, the rain.
You got to understand, I got wet and I was late home. Everyone had a tough night.
The last 2 minutes I've been thinking, don't make a joke. Don't make a joke. Don't even smirk.
The thing is, in my head, I had 2 queued up and I chose not to.
I thought it's best if I tackle it head on that something awful happened that day as opposed to somebody...
He can show restraint.
Yeah, this shows growth and I don't always let things run away with me.
That's good.
Bear that in mind.
Yeah. There's a man who doesn't want to do too much editing. Please.
Yeah, ideally. But then I do also have... Did I mention it on here a while back? I put the bet on during Chisora Wilder for Wilder to beat Chisora, PSG to win the Champions League, and Man City to win the Premier League at 60-1. And so it would be the worst money feeling wise that I've ever made, and although I've been pimping myself out, I've won some horrible bets. Last night we nearly had 200 quid in the 96th minute yesterday, I will say, because £20 went down when we went 1-0 up.
This man's flying right now because he had a big bet on the UFC that come in, nearly a second one that came in on that. This guy
overdue. That was
instead of just betting on this, just give the money to me. Donate it to a hungry Chelsea fan.
Well, no, because my thing is, I feel like I'm contributing when I put the bet on Arsenal. I'm
covering a lot of jinx bases here, isn't there? A lot of jinx bases.
This guy
put on a stupid bet, come on the pod and said it can't beat Burnley. Just tick all the boxes.
He's 80% jinx right now.
I'm thinking some of that money could pay for the lost coach or train money, so maybe I'll go first class.
Champagne on ice.
So much sport was on this weekend. Did either of you spend the whole thing sat on the sofa like I did?
No, I did not. I wasn't allowed. Had other things to do. I was watching the Chelsea game on my iPad in the garden whilst I was chopping up wood and burning it. Which
just thought I'd get a thumbnail sorted while we were there.
I didn't miss much.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, Rowan.
I feel like Jack missed the whole thing.
Yeah. He did the Trossard celebration down the camera, so he has a thumbnail for the episode. Yeah, ridiculous. Which also, if anyone's listening, means absolutely nothing. We're reacting to something that means nothing to them. Yeah, I mean...
He's sick to see him so happy.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to come with props, and then the angle of the camera hasn't quite been sorted.
That is...
And then I was going to move it, and I said to TK, and this also can't be seen. I was so impressed with my folding, but I thought...
It's a good fold. Good fold.
I did notice that. I'm looking at it.
Maybe we'll hold that up later in the episode.
Can't you wear it like they've just won the Champions League and you've brought it back to front?
Well, I said that's part of the superstition, is that that's previously not been a lucky shirt, which just means we've lost a game when I've worn it once. So some of them come back around actually and become lucky shirts after being unlucky. And so many of my Arsenal shirts are still on my old house. I actually asked my mum to bring that one to me this morning, so I had it just in case. So Brilliant. It would be a shame to not have it there on display. So I did sit there on the sofa for pretty much the whole weekend. A couple of trips out for food and drink, but I was alternating cushions at least. So I wasn't sat purely in one spot.
I thought a bit lower this week.
No, I flipped the cushions as well. If we tackle it now, because it'll be all football after that. TK, we watched the Wardley Dubois fight together on Saturday night. Don't feel comfortable with how far away this mic is from me, but we're going to find out in the back end if it sounded all right or not. As well as that racket out there today, which could also not be there or could be there. Hopefully no one has any idea what I'm about. But back to what I was saying. Wardley Dubois on Saturday night. I feel quite hyper today.
Yeah, you're jumping around a bit.
Yeah. What a scrap was where I was going to go.
Incredible, yeah. Certainly in terms of heavyweight fights, I can't remember seeing anything like it, really. Just in terms of the amount of punishment dished out. Normally two big guys like that who can bang like they can. Something's normally got to give. And now, admittedly, eventually it did. But, I mean, how Wardley took what he did, was still standing, never went down. I've got absolutely no idea.
I can't fathom being that level of tough. I think I'd be out like John Wick if I knew I could absorb that level of damage.
Barging into people in fever.
He'd be one of those blokes that we'd send out like the beginning of Troy. We want to do, we won't bother with the war. Just send this guy and you send your best guy, and we just know every time that he's going to emerge victoriously until Dubois gets sent on the other side.
And the other guy brings out Dubois. Oh, for fuck's sake.
I said to you during the fight that there's no need for anyone to be 6'5". And I've been thinking today, if you are, we should limit your diet, because having people around built like that is dangerous.
Like having like a speed limit on a car, so you can't go over 60.
Yeah.
With this guy, you can go above 6'5", 20 stone.
I do think, and I mean, don't have too much going for me, but I'm very glad that I'm not short, which hopefully don't have any too short listeners. But
alienated them now. Too late.
I remember being at a boxing event and seeing David Price walk past. and being the first time, like, I appreciate you're big, but seeing it in person, and when, especially like it's not like Peter Crouch big, it's like a big stocky
unit of a man. Yeah.
Jesus, freakish to be honest.
You wonder with that as well, like then what if like Victor Wembanyama walked past you? Bear in mind he's like 7'5", so that's getting on towards a foot taller than Price at that point. You're not far off. You're like, what? This doesn't really, you can't really compute.
Makes perfect sense who he said, but him being asked about who's going to win the Champions League final and hearing him talk down on Arsenal,
good fun.
He's got an op in me at least for the near future. He already plays for a team called the Spurs.
Yeah, like you said, though, ask a French player who's going to win. I don't think you can be too surprised.
I was riding with Ant Edwards anyway, but that sealed my decision. So yeah, I mean,
also even on, by the way, on the that was just a night of great fights anyway, wasn't it? Bearing in mind, Zach Shelley pulled off like an upset that we're probably never going to see again. Brad Rea could have had a knockout of the year if the guy had stayed down, but he got back up and got it waved off. And then we knew Wardley Dubois would be a banger because just the way those two fight, it couldn't be anything but great. But there was also the chance that one of them runs through the other in the first 3 or 4 rounds.
Like 10 seconds in, Dubois has been dropped.
Yeah. When you've got that much power on show, it can happen. And both have shown in different ways vulnerabilities. Wardley kind of hangs his chin out, but seems to survive. Never more evidence about this. And Dubois is one of the weirdest instances of quit or no quit we've ever seen from a fighter, where he's been through actually some really tough fights and come through them, and other ones where people have said he's spewed it. It's bizarre.
We were talking on the night about how comfortable people are talking about him and basically just saying all sorts about his kind of mental...
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, not his mental fortitude, his IQ and anything as much as that. I went on BBC Today, and as part of their write-up, they said, Dubois is finally comfortable in his own skin. And I thought, how do you know? Because he did an interview after the fight and was like, God bless him, I'm glad we had that fight.
Yeah.
He might just not be a very talkative bloke.
Yeah, he's just a bit of a kind of awkward kind of guy, but he spent all his life like trained to be a boxer, hasn't trained to be, you know, giving interviews and stuff. So,
because in round 3 when he goes down, considering all of the messages out there about him, to have the courage and the thought process really to take a knee,
have the wherewithal
to save yourself in the fight,
to do that.
Fair play to him.
And it was basically all him after that point, after that round. It's basically all him. So fair play to him.
And so now we'll see what happens next for him. The Atoma fight makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Wouldn't be against seeing him in there with Wilder, to be honest, if they had to do that. Or if you want to do Wardley for his comeback fight, him and Wilder probably makes perfect sense.
Yeah, true.
Such as Aura begging it around, I just want someone to starch him once and for all.
Asking for it with Dubois.
Just in calling people pussy and all of this. And it's,
yeah.
Get that guy out of it. You may be watching us on YouTube again, or you could be watching us somewhere else, I guess, Spotify, whatever. I would ask that if you are watching us on YouTube and you're not subscribed, please do that. And also, if you have anything to say during your experience listening to this episode, if you usually message me, Jack, TK, leave the comment on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and you probably don't know quite how much that helps in pushing it a little bit further. So you can still message to us separately, I guess, if it's something insulting about one of the other people, or if it's personally insulting about me, then maybe don't post that one in the comments.
We just lost a lot of comments, I've got to tell you. How much do you want it or not?
Okay, anything you have to say, post it in the comments. I would greatly appreciate it, as I'm sure they both would, but they don't need to vocalise that right now. So yeah, let's get on with the sport, unless anyone has anything else to say. Jack, do you have anything interesting for your dinner on Saturday?
No.
Just want to cover all the bases?
No, barbecue, simple.
Barbecue?
No, I am intrigued.
Oh, right. Yeah, got a big-ass smoker barbecue in the garden. Smoked a beef joint, brisket. Left it in there about 5 hours.
Didn't strike me as barbecue weather. You just thought, I'm getting out there.
I'm getting out there. I'm having it.
All right, fine.
Having it large. If I put my mind to something, I will stand there, coat, hat, all of it whilst it cooks.
I'm going to say this asthma attack you had in the week just got smoked out by the barbecue. You just couldn't have the barbecue. That's what it was.
I was sorting my fridge yesterday, which tells you the anxiety I had leading up to the Arsenal game. And I know some people take pride in, say, their wine collection. The sauce collection I'm starting to build, I was quite pleased with organising that in the door of the fridge. So maybe if we're light in future, we'll get them lined up or something.
I found my first Chipotle mayo. It's readily available in supermarkets. Heinz, can't go wrong. It's bang on.
Another potential sponsor there, I think.
Any peri-peri sake sauce for you?
I actually went to Nana's for the first time in about 15 years last week. And I did have the sake sauce, I have to say.
Yep. Me and Lawrence had a pre-game one on Tuesday. So there you go. That's all I can eat now for every Arsenal game, just to keep in line.
Helps that you live pretty much above it now.
Yeah, close.
Yeah.
Don't give away my location.
Yeah.
A late Trossard goal and a later intervention for VAR ensured that Arsenal would go 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League and keep their destiny in their own hands. TK, I was Googling where Chris Kavanagh was born when you turned up at mine on Saturday.
Yeah.
I told you I just couldn't picture winning this game. Did you expect it to be as difficult as it ended up being?
No, I didn't, in truth. I thought people have built this game up to be sort of the final stepping stone for Arsenal, and I kind of thought, I do get what you mean in that West Ham are fighting for their lives, and they have been obviously improved. Even last week's game, losing 3-0 to Brentford, was a bit misleading. Their performance was actually pretty good, and they were kind of unlucky in that game. But I did think, particularly with the way Arsenal played against Fulham, it did look like it somewhat turned a corner in terms of performances. And so I thought they might, even if they struggle at first, I did think they would break West Ham down. And then kind of once Arsenal got that goal, I thought then that would be, not necessarily that you go on and roll them, because that doesn't tend to be what you do. But I felt you'd be safe enough at the back that I didn't think it'd be a problem. And it turns out it was a bit of a problem, actually. It was hard work.
Well, you can't be fussy about the way you get to a Champions League final. But the Fulham game, my main thing I think I said on here last week was how much of this was because Fulham were pretty disastrous.
Yeah.
And I thought there were enough positive signs, but it wasn't suddenly that we clicked offensively and now this was smooth and Fulham were going to bang 5 past the next 3 opponents and we'd go on and win the league in that kind of fashion. So, yeah, coming into this one, we started really well. Same team as the last 2 games. That's obviously what he's rolling with now. Calafiori was galloping up and down that left-hand side in tandem with Trossard. And Calafiori should have opened the scoring, really. Yeah. He decides not to open up on his right foot, tries to kind of stab it with the outside of his left. Then there was the Trossard save from the corner. Then the Trossard header onto the post from the corner. The Calafiori header from a free kick. Calafiori, I believe, goes narrowly over from range where it kind of curves away from the goal at the last second.
That's a good strike.
Yeah. And I was going to say I couldn't believe it, but I could believe it. And this pattern happens with Arsenal sometimes. I think we remarked on it earlier in the season where they come out like this and you think we've got this team going. And then we kind of say, we gave it a good go. Not that kind of game. We're playing attritional football now and we're going to try and win it this way. And I don't believe it's always a conscious decision. I don't believe it was a conscious decision on this occasion, but Ben White goes down injured. And some players do mean more to you than others. Ben White is one for me. I was so gutted for him. I thought he was pretty shaky against Fulham. He was immense, I thought, against Atletico midweek. And just the thought that if this is the last time I see him in an Arsenal shirt, I know all of the rumours for this summer, I'm very grateful for what he's done in the shirt. Really ever present during Arteta's tenure. He was the first big money signing, 50 million for him at the time. I think in the documentary he said, first game, a little kid at Brentford shouts at him, 50 million, you're shite.
I'd forgotten it was that much. Yeah.
He was told after his debut, we were stricken by COVID on that day, which wasn't mentioned very much. And there were some issues with the goalkeeper on a set piece, which loops back around nicely. But Neville and Carragher were on the pitch afterwards saying, this is an issue. Every opposition team is going to target Ben White in that Arsenal defence from this point forwards. And you then go, he's shifted to accommodate Saliba. He becomes one of the best right-backs in the league for a 2-3 year period. And just played through injury and injuries because the guys that were supposed to back him up couldn't stay fit. And so now, on the eve of something that could be very special, he leaves in a knee brace, and sad to see, because for anything that he may lack defensively now, there's no telling that no one really knows Saka quite like Ben White seems to with the passes that he plays into him.
And you saw that even briefly in this game, and in the last few games, where he hasn't been, the level he's previously been at, or the level of Timber earlier in the year. But you are right, you can see that link up. It's almost like second nature to him. I'd overlooked, probably because I'm not an Arsenal fan, that aspect of things, that could be his last game. It looked more that, firstly, he knew he'd had, I don't know how bad, but a bad enough injury that he wouldn't be playing for the rest of the season, and that his World Cup was probably done, and he's probably thinking, all the shit with England, and now I'm getting ruled out with injury. It looked like that was in his mind. But you are right, I hadn't thought he's probably going to be off, isn't he? But he probably isn't. He's going to want game time, I assume.
The talk is basically a deal is in place for him to go to Everton once the season's done.
Okay. I wasn't sure where I thought he could go, but I don't know. With all due respect, I think he could do a bit better.
Like the injury record is going to be an issue for him, and I think
wondered if someone abroad might fancy it.
There's something with Moyes as well. I think he values seniority in those positions. You look at some of the players that Everton have had there.
Coleman's played till 53.
Yeah. Well, there was the talk that at the end of every season, Everton would have their team meeting and say, look, we need to get a right back this summer. And they would look at the market and say, we just can't find a better right back than Seamus Coleman. And they'd come back and do the same again. But it was gutting. I saw Gary Neville getting some stick for a lack of compassion in his commentary. I do agree with the sentiment of what he was saying. I think he spoke a bit more afterwards, and he didn't come across to me as he was saying kind of, you silly boy, you've done that. It was just from experience, I thought this is what can happen. I think he referenced it initially as dangling a lazy leg, which for me, I thought that was the challenge of someone that doesn't fully trust their body at this point, in someone that doesn't want to smash through a ball and do that. And if I can nick it clear, which he's quite good at, nick it on the other side, pass back in.
I do also know the point Neville's making. And other people have done it previously, where they say you've got to fully commit. If you have committed, that's when you can end up in trouble. I will say, on balance, people can also fully commit and also come out with a horrible challenge in it. So it does kind of go both ways. I did think it lacked a bit of empathy on Neville's part. Only in that it was quite matter of fact the way he said it. But because it's happened to him, I think that probably bled into it. So I don't think it was a... But I just thought he almost thought... He didn't think about it. I think he was just like, it was a silly challenge on his part, which... Maybe it was, but I think you're unlucky if you end up with a bad injury.
He spoke about it on his podcast after, and he told it like it was going to be this kind of almost like life lesson from his career. And he said, I went out on a Saturday night for a drink, which I never did. And then we had training on the Monday, which already I'm thinking, this must have been some drink you had if this carried over. And then I did the same thing in training, opened my knee up, and I was out for 6-7 weeks. And I thought, that's not...
That's still the same.
Where's the moral of the story?
But I do think that we've all been told in various different football teams from about 5-6 years old, whenever you start playing, that don't leave your leg dangling in a tackle like that. And obviously not when I was 5 or 6, but I can still hear one of my coaches saying, and I'm very clear, I'm not accusing Ben White of this, if you go into a challenge like a fanny, that's how you get hurt. And
there should have been a lot of players getting injured in the Liverpool Chelsea game in that case, if that's the case.
I just think if you wanted to see where a player is, this is a player whose perhaps greatest quality, because I don't want to do the meme, he wasn't the fastest right back, he wasn't the strongest right back, but how tenacious he was got him through so much and kept him going. When I think of that first game he played there for us against Wilf Zaha, and Zaha didn't beat him once. And from that point forward, that was kind of how he played. And I thought, maybe we overanalyze these things. I think 2-3 years ago, maybe he does snap into that and he thinks, I've got an opportunity to leave a mark here, and I don't. What I think is insane is we've lost 2 players this season for an extended period of time because they've lost what's not even a 50-50 with Crescencio Somerville. Odegaard did the same in the home game after 6 minutes, and that's when it was going to be the first game Eze and Odegaard playing together. Odegaard does it and he's off because he does the exact same thing, dangles his foot in with Somerville. So maybe he's just the lower strength that he's got. He's just a beast.
Don't send for Somerville.
No.
But I was going to say, obviously, I want to get
his words.
Deep breath.
Just some things I hear and then people say them back to me, and I think that's a bit cringe. But
we wouldn't want that.
Obviously, I want us to get over the line regardless. But there are several players in this team, and I've said this, I want to get over the line with them, and Ben White is one of them from doing the kind of step by step each time. So hopefully, it's not all for nothing. But we'll see. I tweeted at the start of the second half, Arteta has cost us this game. So stupid. Zubimendi at right back Zubimendi coming on as the initial change. If he was going to right back, I actually understood what could have been going on. I look back to last season, and I know he'd played there a bit more previously. He put Thomas Partey in there. Thomas Partey played against Liverpool in the home game. That was 2-2, I think. And he played as right back in that game. And we've done that before, and I thought, when we're going to be ball dominant, get your ballers on the pitch, basically. Mosquera is a lot of things. He's not very technically proficient. When we played Chelsea at Stamford Bridge was the game we had Hincapié and Mosquera at centre-back together. And Chelsea basically twisted us into passing to Mosquera every time and then swarmed on us and said, he ain't going to play through us. Now, you eliminate a bit of that at right back, but when you look at what we were doing, it was left-hand dominated already, but Mosquera wasn't going to get Saka in the game anymore. And he had a bad game, it turns out anyway, but maybe that would have been different. But I couldn't believe he put Declan Rice there. This was Guardiola in the 2021 Champions League final, just pure galaxy brain. We instantly lost control. There's a big difference, isn't there, between wing pace and middle of the park pace. And Somerville showed Declan Rice pretty quickly the difference there. And I don't know, credit to him for rectifying it. The second one at halftime, I'm sceptical on the Calafiori injury. I didn't like the change, but he said it was an injury. I'm not so sure. I saw Calafiori run to join the celebrations near the end. If it was injured, he shook it off pretty quickly.
But didn't they tell Sky during the game that it was a tactical thing, not an injury? So that feels like they've thought after the event, we better say injury.
I think with some of them, when you have to think about who's being paid to commentate your games, and Neville's first thought is, this must be Miles Lewis-Skelly going to right back, and you think...
Honestly, yeah. And then he made them check. No, he's never played right back before. Yeah, this left-footed guy who's played in midfield previously has been forced out to left back, hasn't played right back before. Oh, great stuff.
Yeah, I just thought it's going to be Zubimendi, basically, and then...
Him a right back would have been interesting.
And then it would... I think it would have helped us maintain the ball at that point. I don't... Yeah, you
I don't mean, if Rice is getting run, he's getting run.
Yeah. But then maybe we'd have had more of the ball with Rice in the middle.
Maybe.
There's only so much you can pass backwards from right back, because it's probably not the time to speak about it today. That Zubimendi performance, Jesus Christ.
Didn't help himself.
At the point when he overhit that pass to Eze.
Straight out for the throw is always tough.
But if you're Arteta and you're defending kind of your cause and making the case for yourself when you're going in for this new contract, you'll then say, my changes actually won us the game in the end. When you look at Odegaard coming on, because again, I won't say what I was saying when he took Eze off for the second time this season when we're chasing a goal. So that there was kind of 20 minutes in that second half while we were under the cosh a little bit. That Fernandes chance, my goodness, everything flashed before my eyes. I've been unmovable in my stance that Jens Lehmann is the greatest goalkeeper not only to wear an Arsenal shirt, but to wear a shirt. And David Raya is making a good case to take his place.
I think you've got to put that across the keeper.
For sure.
He puts that anywhere other than where he puts it.
And it's such nice play to get there. And then he slows it right down as he's taking his time. He hasn't sat right down, but he's kind of got him in position where, right, the goal's opening out here. There's only so many ways he can go at this point. And then to do that is...
The only way that's going to work is if you get really under it and you top corner near post it. It's the only way that you get through that. You are that close that if the keeper is any kind of shape big enough, he's going to make contact with that ball.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. I actually like attackers going near posts. Mbappe is probably the best at it. Give the eyes, bang it back that way. Saka did it to Leno last week. But you can't do it from that close. No. It just doesn't work from that close.
At that point, you are just hitting it at an object that's in the way.
Yeah, the comparisons were made pretty quickly to that Son one 2 years ago. The key difference here is Fernandes is trying to score. I genuinely believe he tried to miss that.
I'm sure you do. I believe you believe that.
Do you believe that?
No, I don't believe he deliberately tried to miss it. But then I also don't believe Jens Lehmann is the best goalkeeper ever. So we're on some mad stuff, aren't we?
A player that scores in that position 99 times out of 100, just the one time that...
It does look a certain way, I will admit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest though, if that's the case, it's like a wrestler who he's really sold the miss. I will say for him if that's the case.
Us being in the cinema watching... the new Planet of the Apes film was called. I don't know if that was a bad film or my entire evening was just coloured in such a way that
film was fine. Yeah.
The way my phone blew up in that moment has something happened, and I see and it's that Son has missed a big chance. I hated him already.
Yeah,
Fernandes, you've made sure you're not on the list. And if there is a parade,
you can join it.
I've got a drink with your name on it.
And just see him on the back of the
bus. So we go ahead on 84 minutes. I've been very critical of Odegaard this season, particularly in the last few weeks. Just injury after injury. He's been meek when he has played. Tony Adams said about 2 months into the season, you can't win a Premier League with Martin Odegaard as your captain, which is... a very original take on you can't win anything with kids. Because we know that Rice and Gabriel are the big, strong, get out the way, I'm coming through leaders. Odegaard, on this occasion, seized responsibility and made something happen. I think he played Saka, Havertz and Madueke in behind with about 5-10 minutes to go. That Madueke change, by the way, if the Eze one coming off for Odegaard annoyed me, Saka was having a bad game. I didn't need to see that man coming off.
Yeah, I said, unless it is he cannot carry on fitness-wise, then you can't be taking Saka off Madueke at this stage.
There was a point during that period where we hadn't scored yet, and I was thinking, all right, don't concede, but this is a horrible position if we're having to kind of outscore City after I'd seen them the night before. And... kind of where I'm at this point, I was looking at Madueke thinking, I'm not sure you should get a medal if we get this done. When I saw him back out of that 50-50 on Tuesday night,
honestly, when I saw that, I was like, this guy might
you'd
be
have
done.
thought we conceded, me and Lawrence reacting in here.
The problem is it was so blatant as well. Like, we've all played for, you probably have, to piggyback on what you said earlier, there's been a challenge where you thought, don't need this. Don't need this, got out of there. But he has literally like almost leapt out of the way. Like, you can't do this.
It's raging.
Nobody can do it, but you certainly can't do it.
No, that's
you do not have the credit in the bank to be doing that.
That's where you need to win back some favour.
Yeah.
To use it as an opportunity. Don't do that.
There's a great thing. I was thinking about it with Mavropanos in the game yesterday when they said I think he made 7 appearances for us during his time, which it felt like so many more.
Yeah.
But there is a thing, particularly if you're shit at the time, and we've all had periods with our team being in that way, and you do have an opportunity where like a young defender comes through. Now sometimes they do end up being good, but you overlook them being incredibly rash and stupid because you just love the idea that they're just kicking someone.
Yeah.
United fans are still doing it with Alessandro, so they've come a bit far with that. I remember just completely overlooking with Mavropanos. Like, I think he got sent off in his first game. It was like, he's fighting for the badge.
Especially Arsenal at that time, though, they don't love that. Anyone that's semi-aggressive, yes, go on.
We had that Alfie Gilchrist. Who just came and just started smashing people for no reason. Brilliant.
Yeah. They had it with Conor Bradley, and less said about him, the better, because the last time I spoke about him, I was called some names that I don't want to repeat down the microphone. But Odegaard plays a nice 1-2 with Declan Rice, and then he waits and waits and waits. Trossard gets his space, and he crashes it in.
Mr. Clutch.
Well, this is his first goal of the year.
I had not realised it had been that long. I knew it had been a run, but...
I was delirious at this point, and however many people on earth at this moment in time, and you think of how many unique experiences are left. I think of my neighbours and them hearing a grown man shouting up the arse, up the fucking arse at 6:20 p.m. on a Sunday. And I don't know how many other people have experienced that. But it felt so appropriate.
I bet they're thinking this guy next door is quite fun. Just hear a knock.
Oh, just because I was slightly behind, and so at this point I just want to be put out of my misery, and so I'm just checking every so often on like a flash scores or something, just
Terrible.
like please just let something happen. And the last time I'd like 30 seconds before, like nothing had happened, and then that goes in, just oh my god. He is, as you say, Mr. Clutch, but that had faded in the last however long. But I did think, I watched back the first half of the Fulham game, because I said last week, I came out of the ground thinking like, he had a bad game. And the guy I went with was like, Trossard, I'm not having that. I was like, no, and my bad. He made like one bad pass and I just kept that for the whole. And so he was good in the Atleti game, and so he's picking it up. And here, as you say, I think because of the money he spent, because there's the thought of, Christ, that could have been Mudryk that we'd signed for 3 times the amount. He kind of cemented himself as kind of a cult player anyway, and this takes you to another level if we can achieve what we hope off the back of it.
I think he's been a bit of a tone setter for you in some of these games as well. Remember early on in the in the Atleti game, there's times where he'll press where you can kind of hear the crowd kind of go with him. Don't get me wrong, he's had some stinkers in this time as well, but I don't know, he's got something about him. He's a prickly type of character, obviously, but that kind of, like I said, is a good tone setter. If a team that can be a bit too passive, that probably helps.
It reminded me of that moment where Chelsea won the league in 2015 with Jose, where we're battling out away at QPR and Fabregas pops up with a 1-0. And it was that kind of moment where you just think, yeah, I think so.
I know he's going, I am at some point going to bring out Fabregas winning the league for us. Yeah. At some point I'm playing this card. And he's just like, you know what, I'm doing it now.
Well, I went to go and get a drink earlier in the afternoon, and I just took an eye on the papers as I went out and see Trossard's divorce on the front page of the Mail. And thought, I think we spoke about John Terry the other week, and that's probably as political as we've got on here. There's a lot more going on in this country that Trossard's divorce should not only the back page,
that's not
front page.
Yeah. I didn't even know.
Yeah, and this has been going on for ages. There's been the jokes online saying, like, you know, maybe post-divorce Trossard, or the divorce is what's put him out of form. I saw a meme, and it was the Draymond Dylan Brooks one. It was like Trossard to his wife and kids. The legacy starts after you, not with you. But he was fired up. I love a celebration like that. He's got obviously his trademark one, which he still finds the time for, but just go nuts, just beat your chest, just do everything like that, and we're all doing it with you at home.
If you want an idea of how much that story transcended, one of my stepbrothers who doesn't watch football has gone and gone, is he the one getting a divorce? Yeah, that's him, yeah.
So yeah, the clock is ticking down. I mean, just below where your feet are there, TK, I'm on my hands and knees.
Just thank God.
Shouting up the arse.
I wasn't how excited you got then for a second.
Just whimpering up the arse.
It gets to about stoppage time, and I put a timer on my phone for about 1 minute longer than the actual game. And I basically curl up in a ball like this. And I just have the timer
This is
on,
unhealthy.
And I just see it tick down and tick down and tick down. And then I hear Peter Drury say, I hear the crowd in there, and that changes everything. And I was just raging. And
I think that's harder to do what you're doing there than actually watch.
Yeah.
I think that is more stressful.
For a while, we didn't concede. And then the first... when I believed it was working was 22-23 when we went to Anfield. We're 2-0 up. Then, I mean, Xhaka said so much to Trent, and apparently that sparked the whole of Anfield into life. But you were like battering us at the end of the game, and I was hearing that, and Ramsdale made those nut saves from Kennett, and I thought, I've stumbled onto something here that no one else knows about.
If I just don't watch.
If just one of the millions of supporters watching this game just faces a wall, change the whole destiny.
Yeah, and so, I was trying that. Even when the first time it failed me was John Stones at the Etihad against us. And I thought, maybe I did something wrong.
Maybe it's me.
And so, I actually rolled off the sofa onto the remote and change the channel, and I just scramble it back and get back on. But the whole thing there, I was fuming, and then you look up and you have it sometimes with players appealing, and even if the goal is going to be given and they know, you have that little second of hope that something may have happened.
Yes. And
sometimes the appeals seem more convincing than others, and on this occasion they just seemed so dead set that something had happened. And it did appear they were like saying handball, because they show the one over the line at first. See Declan Rice is basically hitting him in the net, and it was like, oh god. Then they show the first replay, and I'll be honest, I instantly thought of the time this happened against us 3 years ago with Trossard at Leicester, where it was Hermanson in goal there, and Ben White was being a bastard at that time, and he's just nipping at the gloves, and he's doing it as he goes up, and they ruled the goal out. And I thought, well, at the very least, I've got a good thing to say here of there's track record for this, that should have been ruled out, and I can make my peace with that and live with it and say we were robbed, blah, blah, blah.
Maybe your favourite position, actually, rather than winning.
And then they're looking at it and looking at it and looking at it. And this is the thing with VAR, really, is if they don't appeal, I actually don't think they pick that out and rule it out. You do have to make the case for them and make them be forced to look at it. And due to the delay probably being very annoying, I'm just messaging my uncle saying, tell me it's been disallowed, tell me it's been disallowed, tell me it's been disallowed. And he's going, I can't. I haven't done it yet. And I just keep doing it, and I'm going on 365, and it's not ticked from the 1 to the 0, and it's kept going and going and going. And then when he said he was going to the screen, I thought, I know that prick would love to be the face of the story here and say, I've seen it, I'm sticking with my decision, I don't think that's an issue. But my goodness, thank God it was. I actually texted my mum before the game, and I actually don't even know how religious she is, but I just said, can you say a prayer for Arsenal today, just in case, basically.
He's going through all of it.
He's trying to take every watch.
I am, because I should know, really.
This is basically,
if there is a God, he's not an Arsenal fan.
This is me on
He
Tekken.
must have been on the weekend.
Tekken as a kid, just smashing the control pad, hoping something works.
So,
just jinx maxing.
Let me go to you first, TK, because unless you were just trying to wind me up yesterday, I think I know your vague thoughts on this. Was this the right decision?
Maybe it was technically right. Maybe it was. To me, I would say I don't think they should intervene on this, because there's just so much going on in there that in my mind, it's like the NFL, they've got a penalty, they ruled each other out. With the amount of shenanigans going on in that box as the ball's coming in, you've kind of got Pablo, I think, is being fouled before he gets to the keeper. Declan Rice has kind of got two men. One of them's getting away, then he's trying to grab him. Havertz is also being fouled in there as well, I think. So he's again. So there's so much going on. And then I think the still shot with Pablo with the arm across Raya doesn't look great. Now, I will admit, at the first sight, I didn't see that he has probably actually on his arm. But I don't think it's one where he's kind of stopped him jumping or restricted him as much as a still shot would appear. So just because of the sheer amount going on in there, I would say I don't think there's enough that you should be getting a VAR to go in and take 4 minutes and then intervene.
I think...
Even if the keeper was eventually fouled, I think that's too much.
Yeah, I think if you look at it, if that was team in black versus team in white and they had no badges on, you'd look at that and you'd go, on the face of it, it probably should have been disallowed. Yeah, it probably should have been disallowed.
We'll leave that there.
But with a team that is basically...
Don't even say what...
No. But the team that has basically made the whole MO this season of being pricks at corners, being pricks at set pieces, you just got to be bigger than us. You've just got to out-battle us. You've just...
The bully got bullied.
Like it or lump it. You just got to do this. And someone does it to you. I've got on my phone that literally just a video of the Chelsea game of Declan Rice with his hands round João Pedro's neck. Then he handballs it on purpose. And then you've got João Hato being absolutely chokeslammed in the background. I just think if you hadn't been dining out and scoring these goals all season and just telling the rest of the league to stop being little bitches about it and man up, this would be a lot more palatable. It would have been the height of irony and it would have been absolute justice if this goal was allowed to have stood. And it would have derailed you winning the league because you've scored so many goals like this over the course of this season.
So many goals like this. So how many goals have we scored where one of our players is grabbing the keeper's arm?
I can 3 against Chelsea. 3 against Chelsea this season.
They're grabbing the keeper's arm?
They're interfering as much as that.
They stand in front of the keeper. They changed the rules this season because we were so good last season. Now we stand and block the keeper. We jump vertically, not at an angle, so there can be no issue. Now, we've had the same issue in the last 2 days as Liverpool had in that game with Van Dijk against Napoli, where they said, look at this horrible challenge from Van Dijk. And the picture looked awful. And then you saw the video and there was no contact. And so I've seen that Saliba was grabbing Bayindir's wrist on the first game of the season. Didn't happen. Play the video. The Chelsea one. Watch all of your set-piece goals this season. Definitely watch all of your set-piece goals this season. Everyone is doing the same thing. Stand, 2 men in front of the keeper, block, and you bank on there being enough of a melee in the area that you get it in. We just happen to be a bit better at that than everyone else. We aren't...
Sounds like the goal should have stood then.
We aren't... No. The issue of why it was ruled out is because of the grabbing the keeper's arm and infringing his ability to play the ball. What actually helps Raya is he's so good at claiming and catching crosses that he tries to catch this one. If he goes to punch it, then it probably does get disallowed because he's able to do what he tried to do. He can't get his hands together.
I think he is already struggling to come and get it is also part of my thinking of it as well.
But it's very much, because if we're doing the first foul, didn't actually bank on that you were going to mention it. The Souček one on Havertz is the first one of the bunch. And then I would say
someone like, is it Trossard who's grabbing Pablo right at the outset of when he's first running in? I would say that was the first one that occurs in there. So
and they also just don't do these because we wouldn't have needed the win if these were given as fouls, because Bernardo would have given a penalty away at Goodison Park on Monday night with the same thing from a corner. Everton, now I'm banking on them scoring the penalty, go 4-2 up, they see out the game, and then a draw is a good result for us. So this whole thing, I appreciate the rugby tackling thing on corners does happen. And I think it's one of those where eventually, and it's probably going to be against us, and not because I'm doing the victim thing, just we're now the face of that. So one of these referees is going to say, I'm putting a stop to this in this game and I'm going to give a penalty for it. Because the only other one that any of us can reference in that time is Rodri got one at Old Trafford about 3 years ago. And it was so unusual then, despite it happening every time, and it's so unusual now. So they're going to have to wait to the end of the season, try and come up with something. If you go back to the first game of this season, Howard Webb said, this is going to be the season we stamp down on holding at corners. It's gone the other way.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be their thing at the beginning of next season that they do. They'll give a load of penalties for it, and it'll probably then...
But that's my issue.
They'll probably then forget about it.
And Danny Murphy being the voice of reason was not something I expected to see on Match of the Day
yesterday. It could actually be quite good, to be fair, at times.
Yeah, he said... You can't make the decision of this is an Arsenal thing. You have to make the decision of this is a foul, is this not a foul? And I'm yet to hear someone say, when saying that this goal should be given, it's not a foul. Every single person is saying
it's a foul.
It's a foul.
It's a foul. It's just what we've been subjected to this season. Have you been
it's not an Arsenal thing. Arsenal just do it better than everyone else. Everyone is doing the same thing at set pieces. For the 5 screenshots that I see of Arsenal on the first game of the season, you can freeze it at the other frame. Lissandro has got Calafiori around the neck like this. Marino is being held. Gabriel. It happens in every single set piece. There was one in your game on Saturday. Van Dijk's complaining that he's been fouled in the one that he heads over the bar. He's got Hato by the grip of the scruff of his neck like this. It should be stopped. I hated the rule the guy came up with on Match of the Day that we just leave the 6-yard box clear until the ball's been kicked.
Yeah.
But
I also don't think it actually fixes it either.
There's something does need to change, but based on what we're giving penalties for this season, those rugby tackle ones aren't being given. The grabbing the arm one, I think it's happened 3 times in the league. In the third one, you'll be the one to tell me if I'm mistaken or not. It's the one that went against us with Trossard against Leicester, the one yesterday. And was there not a goal that you scored at the Etihad in one of your games and they ruled it out for contact on Alisson, or it may have been the other way around and they had a goal ruled out for contact with on his arm?
Oh, the Alisson one was like the most pathetic thing you'll ever see, like barely contact.
So that's what for all the stuff
I would have said at the time, that's not a foul.
For all of the stuff after the game, like the West Ham players saying, yeah, it is a foul, we just want consistency. We have had that with this particular thing. They're not allowing the keeper to play the ball. Shay Given, who is a bit... I think he's good, to be honest. I didn't know he cared for Man City in the way that he does, or maybe he just doesn't like Arsenal.
Yeah, he did seem to have a bit of venom when he was talking about it.
He was talking about it like he just scrolled on Twitter, because he said that they were doing it, they were bullying Bayern on the first game of the season. They were both doing that. Bayern is just shit, so that's why he didn't get a shot at the ball. And then he said Gabriel elbowed Martinez in the head and scored during their game. And you can play that back. There's no contact in that one, but the picture looks bad. So I FaceTimed Connor pretty quickly after the game. When he answered,
some bastard.
I'll be honest. When he answered, I thought,
I've got this wrong.
Other way round. I come in peace. I'm not ringing Gloat or anything like that.
I bet that's just what he wanted to see with an Arsenal fan on FaceTime.
Yeah. And I said...
And he said he wasn't watching the game.
I said, do you think it was a foul? And he said, yeah. I said, I don't need to hear from anyone else now, because I've seen more annoyance from Liverpool fans and Man United fans than I have West Ham fans. I spoke to Steve earlier, and he was like, I think it is a foul, but I also think there's 3 other fouls in there.
Yeah,
and I said, I agree with you, but those haven't been given. He said, yeah, I agree.
I'll go back to your point where there's 2 flags on the play, goal's been scored.
But that's what happens if I'm holding you and TK's holding someone. That's what they do. They say they even out. This was a different foul.
I understand it's the interference with the keeper and hold arm, and I just find it...
It's interesting that you're not part of the keepers union.
I was about to say, I find it nice that you've
come
round to say that you actually do believe in protection for keepers. So it's nice for you to finally realise.
I think you can. I think you can rough up a keeper. Yeah. I just think the grabbing his arm was where I thought that has to be.
Yeah, but my issue with it as well, partly, like I said, I think he's struggling to get there anyway, and it's not one where he's going to get this and then the guy drags his arm down or something like that. I know the still shot does look bad, I will acknowledge. It's as simple to me, it does fall into the category of, if the ref had blown up on there, I would have probably gone, what's he blowing up for here? And then showing the replay and gone, fine. But it does feel like once it's gone in, you've done it. I don't know that it meets the threshold to me that VAR intervenes because of the amount of carnage in the box. I don't really know that they're going to be able to have a solution for the situation in the box. And so, whilst this is maybe the best solution, I say just self-police. This is let the players fight it out. And that's kind of what happened in this one. And more often than not, by the way, Arsenal will come off better off, defensively and offensively. But in this one, they came off second best, I thought.
I think the main, like I said, the bile for this has come from you've been getting away with stuff. Just listen. I was just looking at a video of my phone there, just the many clips that I've DM'd myself to rejig my memory. And the one
did the homework this week.
And the one that you scored against us, where Sanchez gets pushed underneath a cross with a push in the back and he flies under it. Like that is interference with the keeper. That's
they played
just
that back
bad.
and there was no contact with him.
Look, I'm not gonna show you a video on my phone, but there is.
You should have had a penalty in that game, by the way. It wasn't for that reason.
Yeah.
When Raya punched someone in the head in that game.
Yeah, that was Joe Pedro.
Yeah.
Punched him clean in the head. So this is what I mean
Don't
by.
say I never say decisions don't go in our way. I'm just acknowledge one.
I'm just saying that goal should have been disallowed and we should have got a penalty. I think just because you've been getting away with stuff like that all season, this is culminated in now something going for you at such a pivotal point. It's just exploded.
What Bowen said.
I think if this happens at the start of the season, people just overlook this.
What
be
Bowen
like, whatever.
said is, if you look long enough at any set piece, you're going to find an issue now, which is correct. Which is why I would say, you're not scoring ethical set pieces. It's not we're the big bad guys at set pieces, and Chelsea's are very pure and they're doing it.
I'm not saying you're not.
We found a loophole basically with they tried to change it last season, and so we said they changed the blocking of the keeper basically with the contact, and so we basically stand away, we run in right in front of it and say the keeper's been given the space to attack it, but you're not going to beat Gabriel, Ben White, whoever it's going to be. And we've done it. I also think if you change the rules, we're probably going to be the fastest to figure out something else. If we're giving people clear runs, Gabriel is going to hit Haaland numbers if we start ruling out contacts in the area. Now, if I'm to have some good faith, I think I know your answer. If West Ham were 1-0 up yesterday and Arsenal scored that goal in the 96th minute, and it was transpired that Gabriel had grabbed Hermansen's arm, I just wondered what your feeling would be on the day. Because I think it would be, you've been doing this dirty shit all season on set pieces and finally you got found out.
Yeah, pretty much. Of course. I said it's a foul. It's just uproar that you've been getting away with these fouls and you get it actually in your favour this time.
I don't want to stay too long on it. These fouls, we haven't been getting away with.
Yes, you have.
No one can point to one where we've held the keeper's arm. Please find one. I'll give you, to the end of the episode, you can stay here overnight.
No.
I mean,
what's that?
It looks like the fish from Shark's Tale, João Pedro.
It's a different foul. Find me one where we're holding Sanchez's arm while we score.
You're holding someone's arms there. And then handballing it.
But he's saying basically you're committing fouls on set pieces, but you're saying you're not on the keeper.
That every team does that.
Yeah.
The grabbing of the arm. So when I saw all of yesterday, we can find all these examples of Arsenal doing this. You can't.
I think what was an element of confidence. If you look at the back,
they would have known by last night. And what I would say, people thinking they're going to outclip Arsenal.
Don't do it.
If you look at the back freeze frame, keeper's Ray is actually having his shirt pulled as well. So he's having his shirt pulled at the back and his arm pulled at the front. I think it is a foul. I just think the uproar is not because of the foul.
But it's even that way, the shirt pull is getting pulled by Dubois, who's been getting murdered on the way there. So it's
just chaos.
The uproar around it is obviously partly because of the situation for both teams in this, but it is mainly because it's Arsenal. And what Jack's saying there about he's talking mainly about the perception of Arsenal at set piece and stuff. I don't really bake that into my thinking, only in that, like, the refs can't do that, can they? They can't go, well, I think this team's a bunch of bastards, so that shouldn't come into. They've got to object to that. Well, and my main takeaway is that I don't really want to hear like the officials against the skin, because that's an open goal. If they wanted, they can. If they are against Arsenal, they can go, no, I think Jet's cleared and all that. So I think some of it has to ring a bit hollow when, sort of did you solid with the Gabriel not sending him off for Button Haaland, and did you solid here? I think you just got to, take that one
just
and
accept
just go,
it.
look, they sorted us.
You're the media darlings now. They want you to win.
What have they got cooking against Burnley?
I mean, they got some really cooking from what I've seen from Burnley.
Please do not underestimate Michael Jackson and Fleming. Okay.
Back down to earth.
Yeah,
The lights just came on in the club. Yeah.
Expected a little bit of pushback. Thought Keepers Union would maybe be on board.
I am on board. It is a foul.
A little bit more. I would say if I'm advising West Ham players in the future, don't have your first defence be, but look what else is happening on around here. Please say it first.
And by the way, I would, in any manager's position, but in this one, I'd be going mad at you. Like, you can do basically anything. Do not grab the keeper's arms. Don't give any opportunity for them to have a look at this on the VAR. I'd be going mad at
If they weren't grabbing his arms and they were just jostling him, and he flaps and misses it, that's a goal.
You're going to be fine.
That was a goal. They really got themselves to blame, which is annoying for the rest of the league.
Maybe it's blind faith, and maybe his reputation comes in his favour. There is no one better at catching those balls than Raya, and so I do think...
Yeah, but it's not like he's bulletproof.
No, but I think when something happens, the first reaction is usually that something else has gone on, whether it's like Wolves and it's a player, this miscommunication, or it's the pressure, but it didn't look like the pressure was an issue for him in this game. So yeah, I felt initially like I was clutching at straws, saw the replay and thought that has to be, but it would have been easier for them, so to give them some credit, if this was us against Burnley and this happened and they equalised and they can say they're down anyway.
Yes.
Let's rule it out. This was a colossal one, because what would have sounded really bad when I was speaking to Connor was I said, so how many points? Is it 4 points if they win tomorrow?
Oh, God.
And he said, yeah. I didn't think it was that bad.
I don't know how he's even answered the call, honestly.
I've had those calls from Byron.
No, you haven't.
Twice.
No, because it was one. And
once after the FA Cup final.
Oh, I wasn't trying to console you then.
No, you weren't. No.
I was trying to be nice to him.
Yeah.
Just maybe I wasn't the person.
And didn't achieve it.
And he wonders, why can't you just be happy for me?
No, that was because
that
was because you'd been horrible pre-game. Because you were a bit too confident about what you were going to do to banter your Arsenal.
Yeah, I was.
So yeah, I think to close this out, when you consider where Arsenal were after City, I think that was the last time Jack was on. I still might not get my day in the sun, but since then we've played 5 games in 15 days. Don't alert Man City about that schedule. 1-0 against Newcastle, 1-0 against Atletico, 3-0 against Fulham, 1-1 against Atletico, and 1-0 against West Ham. That is a hell of a bounce back. They haven't all been pretty, 45 minutes really, across those 5 games. Yeah. But I didn't think that was going to happen off the back of the City game. I don't think any of us did, and I didn't really believe they were going to drop points against Everton, and they did, and it could have been so much sweeter if those damn officials hadn't been against us playing that extra minute of time.
So front.
Shameless.
See, I'm uncomfortable with all of that was the one they've won it now, but I do think if you don't win it now, then
you're in hell. You're in absolute hell.
I need us to beat Burnley, and I need Bournemouth to do something. I don't want to win it on the pitch.
Fine.
Yeah, happy to win it.
I don't think Palace have a big enough squad that they can put all of the kids out, basically. So I think there's going to be enough people on that pitch that can do some damage if we are feeling shaky and they're feeling free.
Yeah, I'm not convinced City take maximum points against Bournemouth. I've kind of said that, and the Everton one for quite a while now.
Because the Villa one, that could be a bloodbath.
Yeah, exactly. And I will admit, maybe factored into probably how I felt with the late West Ham goal is partly I want Spurs down. No, they're getting around it. I want this passes down. And West Ham staying up in their place would be fun. So that goal would have obviously contributed towards that. And I will admit, I did fall in love with... I genuinely don't care who wins out of Arsenal and City, but I did fall in love with the idea that you basically have to have a shootout. For the last 2 games, it is who can score more goals. I like the idea of that. And at this stage, when you've been as pathetic as we have this year, you're rooting for drama. You're looking for drama. Now, I will admit, I don't want you to win the Champions League, but the league I'm not too asked with. But so I was just... Maybe that was partly baked into my thinking as well as that I was maximum drama was what I wanted.
Well, I think...
Most people's thinking was, get that goal in, I fucking hate Arsenal. That's clear.
So I did think when I became aware of the bigger picture, because leading into that game, it felt even more pressured after what City had done on Monday. Like, I didn't want to look at the table, really. And then the point, I don't think, would have done much for West Ham anyway, in the grand scheme of things. Like, if Tottenham win tonight, they were still in a world of trouble.
Yeah, and they've got worse goal
3
difference.
points back. Yeah.
They've got worse goal difference than Spurs, haven't they? So,
I think you'd look to that game at Stamford Bridge and the record that Spurs have there. And
I did say that while I was trying to boost him up and said that they might lose there. So
I think, like, if there's one thing that we can do is when we're having a dead season, we can reignite that hatred for Spurs.
Yeah, we can go. Can you get one more game for us, lads?
Yeah.
So if I piggyback on what you've just said about what you think the feeling was during that Arsenal game for the large majority, I do understand people don't want us to win the league, whether I've made that clear previously or not. Don't expect people to cheer us on. I'd like it. I'd like a bit of support, maybe. What has taken me by surprise is quite how strongly everyone doesn't want us to win the league. And I don't know if it's for social media. I don't know if it's just to kind of feel involved, because when you look at United, Liverpool, Chelsea had the FA Cup final, but there isn't a lot going on at this stage of the season for those people. But it's like, when I root against Liverpool or Tottenham or Chelsea or whatever, when you win late, I'm annoyed. When you've won previously in big games, it's been like, when you won in Munich, it's like, I'm annoyed, but I was
rattled that day. I didn't want them to ever win the Champions League. So.
Just how strongly is been crazy to me.
It is mad. But also, I do recall being in your shoes the first time we won the league. I was like, I knew people didn't want it. Because people, obviously, because of the nature of that year, like, people can sort of joke about it now. Some people really were like, no, we do have to cancel the season. Like, I'm trying to make an actual argument. I was like, how fucking mad are you?
Like, City are the lightning rods, where no one knows any of their fans. They win it all the time, and it stops people that you know gloating over you.
I get
and also,
that.
The City ones don't count.
Yeah.
And they have these charges by holding it on. And whatever they get found guilty of, we can all just tell ourselves, well, they basically had an inflated thing, and so none of these really count, which is, whereas other ones...
Whereas this one is... Arsenal fans have painted a picture of... They're not all of them, but the social media Arsenal fans, you don't want to see them celebrate.
But you do want to see the collapse and the meltdown, don't you? This is part of it.
Do you not think more? Do you not think everything that's going on before this? I swear I'm actually not going to be. I'm not making any assumptions. The more this happens, the worse it is. The worse it is going to be. And I would say, as much as if that was the case when we won it, eventually that they'll never let you hear the end of it. Has that ever happened? I don't think a Liverpool fan brought up outside of like a bantering back and forth. Like a week later, I don't think one of them said to me, we won the league, by the way, last season.
Exactly that. We were in that spot. We were obviously labelled the unbearables, right? And everyone was like, they're going to be unbearable when they win. I was like, well, the more you tell us we're going to be unbearable, the more unbearable we're going to be. And yeah, sure enough, by like the Monday afterwards, I saw someone tweet, they're still going on about that, are they? Well, there you go. Yeah, see, being an opposition fan is always the best spot to be in, because you can just hammer them, and then they can have their day when they win. And then the next couple of days, you can be like, you're still going on about that? Oh, fuck it. Yeah, so
it does help.
And the world will carry on. I've got to tell the listener that the world will carry on if Arsenal win. It's fine.
Yeah, it does help when you have a season like you've had this season, straight after winning it, to make people forget that you won it.
But then,
we've done our best.
Yeah.
No, I meant back. I was about to say when we did it previously, but we stank the following year after that one as well. Yeah.
I even think the idea people have is that if you were to mention this to a Liverpool fan now, that they're going to be puffing their chest out and saying, "But we won the league last year," and that's going to cause. It isn't making Liverpool fans feel any better, and it's not. A Royal fan,
it's making us feel worse. Actually, the fact we won it last year.
I don't know. I think if you not to be too philosophical, I wouldn't want to eradicate from football the idea that we root for each other's demise. I think it's just been.
The scale of it is mad. I will admit.
It hasn't. What surprised me is that it wasn't like it in 22-23. It wasn't like it in 23-24. Last season, I actually think we got a bit more because it was you bottled it and it was like we actually were never there really. Yeah. And in this season it's just gone and I've felt it kind of building.
It really has.
I think what it's been, you've led for so long and you had such a point advantage. We've all just been begging for this thing to happen.
Did you see that stat that and now, since he's joined Arsenal, Arteta has had more days on top of the league than Pep has?
I can believe that.
Yeah, and he has 3 Premier Leagues in that time.
Yeah. I can believe it. And that's what we're just praying happens again.
It's praying. Let's not bring religion into it.
Twice already on this pod. It's quite weird.
This is for good. That's you shouldn't be praying with demise. You look downstairs. So anyway, let's move on. So Man City played on Saturday night. An hour had gone in this game. I wasn't getting excited, but my brows were certainly raised. Unfortunately, I seem to have talked Doku into the best form of his career. Mentioned Mike Oliver already, won't redo that, but something with Doku where he seems to have the power of the force at this moment in time where play all of the goals back. Why is every defender on their ass around him before he pulls the trigger? I've not seen a winger have this much space in the league. Dwight McNeil doesn't get this much space in the league. And suddenly Doku has just got the freedom of the pitch to whip it.
And they're watching him score the same goal over and over again.
Well,
maybe
just Iron Robin do it again. Iron Robin era.
On the other side,
Lawrence left here on Tuesday, reached a Champions League final, over the moon. We're talking about what's to come this weekend now, already on to the next. That's the mentality.
Elite mentality. We're now the High Performance Podcast.
And he said to me, the good thing is, we know City won't beat Brentford like 3-0. So that's the goal difference, so we just got to keep a little bit ahead until we get to the Burnley game, and then we'll know the position we're in. I said, I think it could be one where they get one, and as they press on, they do it again. And I said, Brentford played that well against United and got nothing from the game. That actually doesn't fill me with any confidence going into this one. Once Haaland has scrambled in the second, I was just hoping keep the goal difference down. They had that third one with Marmoush. And if you think the decisions were contentious in the Arsenal game, maybe I'm not the messenger to be saying this. I think the decisions were more contentious the day before in the Man City game. It just so happens that we've covered the winning the league part, but I don't think people are as fussed about that. In fact, I watched the Sky Sports highlights again when I finished work today. The second penalty appeal, Sky just don't even include in their highlights. So let's go through them. Yeah. So I think Dogso just doesn't count for Man City because you look through since the new year. They had one with Kasanov in the reverse fixture here. They had one with Kasanov against us. They had one with Gay against Liverpool. They had 2 with Nunez in this game. First one, Thiago plays the ball round the corner. Sharda's cutting inside. Nunez takes him down. I think it's as much Nunez sliding and then Sharda runs across him. But only this season has that seemed to be a who made the contact thing. We're going to...
Scruffy as hell.
In real time, I was convinced. Not as convinced second time around, but I do still think on the 50th time of watching it that it should be a red card. Then we carry on the game. Man City are attacking. Bernardo Silva gets tetchy, the most Teflon player in this league. And if anything else, he doesn't deserve a happy ending.
I can get behind that. I can get
If
behind
we
that.
win the league for that reason alone, he does not deserve his happy ending.
Yeah.
He swings around and punches Nathan Collins in the back of the leg. I don't know what violent conduct is anymore, because United fans for the last month or so have been every single challenge going, so the hair pull's a red card, but that isn't. And in some circumstances, I do actually think a hair pull should be a red card. I don't think it should be. We just booked for that kind of thing. I think you can judge it on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Of course you did.
But, yeah. On this one, the face he pulls, there's no hiding it, like when Carragher or Neville or whatever player in this league does the little stand on someone. I didn't know he was there. I was just trying to put my foot down as I was getting up. This is so blatant, and it's just a booking. So.
Yeah, you should get booked for throwing the punch and it being pathetic. Like punch running like the leg. Like, what are you doing? I mean, he'd start on a yellow card as soon as I saw him. Like, if I was ref, like, as soon as I saw that face, I'd be like, we'll start with this, and you better watch yourself for the rest of the game.
It's like what my niece does to me when she wants to just play around. Is that little like Bernardo Silva is doing it in front of millions and millions of people, and he gets away with that. And at this point, notepad's out. If I had to start writing notes in my phone of the decisions just to make sure I had them all here.
Genuinely is just like kid off recess. Genuinely is just
Miss Spencer.
Thiago gets off a bit lightly. He could put them a goal up on 55 minutes. He could just square it across to Kevin Schade, and he stops and then fires it straight at the big bloke in the goal that we all remark on the size of him.
He is the 3 p.m. assassin, isn't he? If it ain't the Saturday 3 p.m, does he actually score?
In that Brentford game in the first half, when they were playing all the chances against United, and then they got to half time, and it was Dewsbury Hall, I think, in the studio, and they said, blah, blah, and Thiago hasn't had a shot yet. And you're like, sorry? And he'd missed every single one that had come through. He'd not managed to pull the trigger once. Something up. There's something sus with you going on. He doesn't square it. They get another opportunity. He does square it. And Núñez does the little push in the back. Schade goes over. And whether you're telling me he goes down easily or not.
It's a pen.
It has to be. And they kind of brushed it away.
A bit like the Sanchez one I just showed you, actually. Sort of push in the back. Should have been a foul.
You actually didn't show that one. But that one, they did play back. No foul.
And that is one as well where I do think sometimes people watching will go, oh, come on, he's big. Why is he pushing him over like that? When you're running full power into the box like that, someone puts hand back like that, and the push is pretty clear. That can put you off pretty easy.
What he's doing there is readjusting his feet because the ball's played slightly behind him.
Trying to slow down to.
So he's slowing down, and he's going to do that little dragged foot finish, and he's been pushed out the way.
Any touch is gonna.
Because he's already going to go down, but he's been pushed away from the ball. So I do think that's a foul.
So I didn't think it was like, this is a scandal that this isn't given. But it does kind of go into that thing of, there's like a tax. Like, once you've got one that's a bit ropey in the first half, but all right, you've just about got away with it, there's like a compound of it, you can't do it the second time. And that, maybe neither of those, both of those, I think you could go either way on the decision. But when you have two on there, people do end up sort of going, well, you got away with one and you don't get the second. Whether that's the rule or not.
Champions League has been given 100%.
It was. It was in the Bayern PSG game.
Exactly.
When I was face down at the end of that game yesterday, and I heard jury go, "There's a check for a penalty here," and it very quickly said "check complete." But I thought,
that was ridiculous.
Don't give them an opportunity after. I still don't even know what was being checked, to be honest. But yeah, just wanted to.
By the way, in that game, we wonder sometimes why no one has faith in the refs or whatever. Chris Kavanagh blows for a foul that he so visibly has no idea what he's blown for. It's so obvious. Like, no poker face at all. He's looked at the line at one point. He's gone, no, he's not got a flag up. What am I going to do? And it's just so like, I've blown my whistle because someone behind me seems to be on the floor. I'll just give him a free kick.
It was killing me that they included that on Match of the Day. Like, there was nothing to it, and they were still like, he's getting it.
He's so guessing.
Yeah, but then you feel foolish complaining about referees when
you've had the weekend.
When a team has won 3-0, it's hard to make the case, even if it would have changed the game before it gets to that point. you do feel like you're doing the Lampard. I remember genuinely going on Facebook. We lost 4-0 to Southampton around New Year's, the same game where I slammed my laptop shut and it bounced back up into my face.
Tough day.
And someone posting on my Facebook to laugh at me and me saying, well, the first one's offside, the second one's a handball and this. And the reply wasn't laughing. The reply wasn't making a joke. They replied, I remember opening it up and saying, are you fucking serious? It made me really do some reflecting. I thought, I just can't even reply. I think I did try to defend it afterwards.
I was going to say, there's no way you didn't. Yeah. You definitely tried.
You had like an instant of self-reflection and thought, actually, no. It's not the kids that are wrong.
Yeah. But it did. I came out of the game thinking, it's so they get them. But
it is also, though, even if it's another classic case that you can point to the officials there, but also not long before Harden scores, Thiago has a really good chance that he should bury it, and he doesn't. And then next thing you know, it's game over.
I think it's kind of like what you said with the accumulation as well, because other than the push, I do think is, but I think if I was doing it just randomly, I was just being shown the incidents and I had to say penalty or no penalty, I think I could come to a different conclusion on them.
Yeah.
But if in like a video game, you would see the meter building, and by the third one, it just...
That's it. That shouldn't really come into decision-making process, I guess, but just mentally when you watch it, it does.
Yeah, I was getting annoyed while trying to present as a man that was resigned to his fate pre-game when there was obviously still that little bit of hope. Won't be watching the Palace one, just no chance. Because they scare me when I watch them.
What?
City, yeah.
That's when the ball win your games. That's fine.
Well, I ignore the chances they give up, and then when I see them score, I think, fucking hell! If we just draw one game, their goals they're going to rack up.
Well, for what it's worth, all the pundits seem to just only focus on when they score goals as well. The other week when Neville was just like, show of hands in here, who thinks City and who thinks Arsenal? It's like, I just don't see a way in which City don't win all these games or whatever. It's like, do you watch them? Do you watch games? The same as when he was just like stunned that we were a bit crap when we played United. It's like, you're paid to watch this every week. You don't seem to be watching.
Well, let's talk about United. So on Friday, Bruno Fernandes was announced as the 69th different winner of the Football Writers Association Footballer of the Year award. Do either of you agree with that decision?
I think it's been such a season where there's been hot and cold stretches for so many players. Probably is the most consistent when you look at United's trajectory from the laughingstock they were under Aniram to how they've now been spearheaded to quite comfortably Champions League football and playing pretty good football as well along the way. And he's been a big part of that. I just think everyone else has had such patchy seasons. There hasn't been a standout player for Arsenal in an attacking sense, a standout player for City. Haaland, I know he's got the most goals, but this is half of what he usually gets.
4 non-penalty goals since Christmas.
Yeah, so you've got all of these patches.
That was prior to Brentford.
Got all of these patches, and so for consistency, you probably got to say, yeah, but it's in a really slow field. It's not like anyone's really set the world alight. So any bout of consistency is probably going to have won it, and he probably has just been a little bit more consistent than everyone else.
What do you think, TK?
Your head seems to get hot over that. It's just so the problem is, right, obviously it's kind of been billed as Bruno Fernandes versus Declan Rice, right? But I think if you canvass the opinion of Arsenal fans, who's their player of the year, I don't think they would unanimously say Declan Rice. So I think they'd be picking between Rice, Gabriel, and David Raya. I think if I was, you can tell me if I'm wrong. So
I think collectively there's been a realization among Arsenal fans that we've kind of gone, Saliba is actually really fucking good as well. And we're taking that for granted a little bit when we hear the names of the conversation. But no, I would agree. I think.
But there's a real case that David Raya might be your best player this season. He has had some incredible moments. And then, so with that being said, for the Football Writers Award, or when they eventually do the PFA Award, you're going to go, well, if the other main candidate is a goalkeeper, then having the season that Bruno's had, albeit a lot of those assists were from set pieces, which a lot of United fans will call Arsenal set piece FC. But I don't think it's a bad choice for him to be sort of in that. I think he has been, if you're looking for the best, as Jack's kind of touched on there, attacking player, technical player, which these Wolves tend to lean towards.
I don't know if that's the case when you look down the previous winners of this one.
For the football writers?
Yeah.
I mean, it often goes in hand with the PFA one, doesn't it, though?
No, there's some real weird ones, because I have to quite strongly disagree with your points, as you may have expected.
Yeah.
I was just trying to add some points on this while not being told I was rattled on Friday night, which I promise you I wasn't. I was so terrified about Brentford, that about West Ham, that wasn't really entering my mind. But
so you're just rattled now instead.
Well, Bruno receives 45% of the vote from the 900 plus members. I think they said Declan Rice was 28 votes back. I think there's been a major overlooking of the fact that Bruno's played. The stat was that Bruno has played less games than Rice has won. Now, that doesn't by merit mean that Declan Rice should definitely win this. I would say now, just because this is a big point of my argument, this doesn't just cover the Premier League. This covers games played by professionals in the English football leagues.
So it brings in
Champions
FA Cup,
League.
It brings in Europe as well.
Yep.
Oh, right. In that case, well, yeah.
This is
fair enough. Then. Yeah.
Which I wasn't aware of.
No,
to be honest.
I assumed it'd just be a Premier League award.
And so I don't think just because Rice has played or won more games that should be the case. But I do think we're off the back here of him just being man of the match in a Champions League semi-final. I also think this will be the final time I play the victim card for Arsenal today.
I don't think you will.
Yeah,
I can't guarantee it.
It slips out just so easily. Doesn't know he's doing that.
Someone shared the feed of the Football Writers Association's Twitter, where they just share every tweet that comes from one of their members.
This is going to be psychopathic. Brace yourself.
Off the back of that Arsenal game yesterday, I don't know how many of those are going to be voting for an Arsenal player based on what I saw. Now, I also think there was a video of Newcastle fans' favourite journalist, Craig Hope. And just to kind of say how we get to where we are with this award, he says, the vote is coming up next week. I was dead set that Declan Rice was going to be my pick for Player of the Year. But in that game against Newcastle, I didn't see a Player of the Year in that second half when they were trying to get over the line. It just didn't feel to me that that's someone I could vote for in good faith as being the best player. That second, and he referenced that second half against Newcastle changed my mind. Where we keep a clean sheet and get through it and win 1-0 off the bat.
And it was like a horror show for me, was it? It wasn't like Declan Rice had a shot.
Just ticking over, and so that's kind of how fragile this is. And then I think you look, and I knew this before because I brought it up. This is the lesser of the awards to win. Now, it's not groundbreaking to say if you give Declan Rice the choice of whether he'd rather win the Champions League, the Premier League, or the Football Writers Association player, he's going to win it. But
Trent said the Ballon d'Or.
Well,
he said keep your trophies. I want the Ballon d'Or, please.
Were you laughing at that? Because that might take out what I was going to say next.
I was digging out Trent, not you. Don't worry.
We might have our eyes on bigger individual awards this season if we're Team Declan Rice.
And Declan Rice for the Ballon d'Or.
I watched Dembele playing. No, we've got them in his final.
He's going to absolutely docu it.
I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that if everything goes perfectly, and the World Cup would be a big part of that. But again, we don't worry about that. But what I think is this is an award that Jordan Henderson has won, and in 1920, and I look back where he plays 8 less games in the Premier League than any of your front line. He plays 2 less games in Europe than any of that front line. Salah hits 20 goals, Mane hits 19 goals, and Jordan Henderson wins Football Writers Player of the Year. We can go back,
Oh, nice.
and if you're
Didn't remember that.
not correlating the awards, the one you will remember is that Scott Parker won this award one season, and I believe it's the year that West Ham were relegated.
Yeah, I'm going to say, was it that?
So
He was good though.
wasn't that good because and Bale won the PFA and Vidic won the Premier League Player of the Year. If you want some context of the season when Scott Parker won it, by the way, just because I gave you it for the Henderson season. I think this is most comparable to 2016-17, and it's kind of like judging in boxing and MMA where every one of them says they have their own criteria going through. That changes based on what's happening. One week you want to score the volume punches, one week you want to score the quality of the punches, and it goes like that. 2016-17, when Chelsea won the league, N'Golo Kante wins the Writers' Player of the Year award. Alexis Sanchez finishes third that season and scored 30 goals. So I think that if you're saying this team wasn't very good, but they fired them up the table, and we're saying this one was the best player or the best
of
the guy that earned the most points for the league leaders. Now, usually you look at these awards, and the PFA one tends to go who the best player is on the winning team. And as you say, ours has kind of been split. It's quite uniquely split, so that may go against our players. But I don't know. I feel the criteria that's being given to Bruno for this, Igor Thiago should be Player of the Year, if that's the case. If we're saying the standout individual in the one that's fired their team above where we believe they'd be, Brentford was in half of these journalists' relegation picks at the start of the season, and they're in 8th place, and he's got 22 goals. So,
did I call him Thiago Silva earlier?
No,
I've got a feeling I called him
Thiago
Thiago
3 p.m.
Silva.
merchant though.
No, yeah, I did. I stand on that one.
And if we're doing the chance creation thing, which is a disingenuous stat because Odegaard had been top of that twice, and everyone was like, the assists aren't there, so what's going on in between? In 2015-16, where I want to make very, very clear, I do not think that Ozil should have won the award over Jamie Vardy in the year that Leicester won the league. I want to make that so clear. But he had the same amount of assists as Bruno has to this point when the award has been given. He had more goals, more of his assists were from open play. He didn't make the team of the season that year. So I'm just saying that the things that we're now saying, the journalists say, this is what accounts for the award, I don't know, doesn't quite stack up to me. The split makes sense. There seems to be a narrative set late February, early March that Bruno was the de facto Player of the Year this season. Neville tried putting Bernardo Silva into it at one point, which was nuts. He had a good month against us, against you, and against you.
This goes back to the point of what I was saying, where you've had some players have good months and then have bad months.
But that's what I don't think Declan Rice has had. I don't think you can point. No. If you're saying in the same 10 minutes ago, Arsenal have been top the entire year.
Yeah, but you can also point to the fact that even you've pointed out, which is you haven't really played good football along the way. I don't think I use those words. No,
I paraphrasing.
Yeah, I think there's been times where you've come in and said, I can't believe we played that. I'm worried that we've played this way. Even you at top of the league haven't had this kind of oh my God, look at what they're doing over there. This is brilliant. Everyone take notice. I think it's just been a very functional way of winning a league.
But if that's ruling Declan Rice out, Bruno Fernandes has got no hope.
I think it's more of where the story of where they've
got hot at the right time,
where they were to where they are now, and that always helps too.
I do think I struggle to get too wound up with individual awards, but I know people do care about them more, and I tend to think often there's close enough. Like people were nearly losing their mind because Verge could have won the Ballon d'Or, and then
I think he should have.
So yeah, a decent amount of people think he should have, but then he lost to Messi. And then Messi, I think, he only got 50 goals that year. So we're like, he had a down year. So if you lose to him, it's never a bad one. So my point was that either way, if Virgil got Ballon d'Or, I'd say fair play to him. And because I love him, I would have liked it. But our team don't win that. I'm not too bothered. But I wouldn't have quite got the outrage from some people saying Messi should have. And it's kind of with this one, Bruno or Declan Rice, I wouldn't have too much because I can see the argument for either or. I do think for any Arsenal player, for an individual award, they are going to struggle in that it is a very good collective you've got. And even down to say, individually, Gabriel and Saliba may not get the individual credit they deserve because of how good a partnership it is. I do think that's probably going to undermine from an individual award perspective because of that. But if anyone, for example, I know people get mainly about the Ballon d'Or, which is maybe it's his own thing. People do get a bit funny about, if Declan Rice is like our best player in the league, then what's that saying about the league? But we kind of know what the league is at the minute, where in terms of the style of play and everything. And we've got good technical players in the league. It's up to them to have an outstanding season to kind of separate yourself from that. Bruno's, for what it's worth, for that type of player, is the only one you can make a case for with that as well, to be fair to him.
I was caught in this weird spot where the news broke on a Friday night where not a lot was happening. And my issue wasn't so much with Bruno winning it as much as my issue with the idea that it could only be Bruno that won it, and really making the case for the Arsenal players. Obviously, it wasn't going to be that one.
I had that issue with the year when Foden won Player of the Season, and I thought he had a really good season. And I don't say he shouldn't have won it. I just didn't like how it was just a formality that he would win it. I can't remember, for whatever reason. I think I wasn't on the pod the week after that for whatever reason. And I remember you guys having a discussion about it, and we're like, yeah, fair enough. And I remember thinking, not fair enough, but I remember thinking that Jack would have really gone for Cole Palmer to win it that year, because I thought, you know what, he's probably got a decent case. And he didn't go like all in on it. And I was thinking, Foden's a fair winner, but if Palmer had won it, I wouldn't have looked back on that and got, bloody hell, did he win that? So it was I
think we all have. So
narratives do seem to be set for these awards.
You mentioned the Ballon d'Or one. The Arsenal one they always bring up is Nedved winning the Ballon d'Or over Henry in 2004. And I think you can go back, not to lose too much sleep over the Young Player of the Year award, but in 22-23, Saka has double the goals, double the assists of Foden. Foden wins it because his team won the league. And so that's kind of where we can be with that.
Raheem Sterling was still winning them at 28, I think.
Let's close out then with the other games this weekend, and we'll do your boys' game first.
Did we actually touch anything on the United? When you said we'll go to United, was it literally just to diss Bruno?
Yeah.
Did I say we're going to go to United?
You kind of did. My only thing to say on their game is how many chances did Sunderland miss? They seem to miss a hatful.
No, that was just me digging them out.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet earlier that you may have seen. There was a deleted message in our group chat from me that I thought, I actually can't deal with the hassle of this this afternoon. But
I did see a deleted message.
For all of the stuff you probably saw on your timeline, if Arsenal had Bruno, they'd have won the league by now, which is very disingenuous because you take Rice out, then we definitely haven't won the league by now, as we saw for 20 minutes yesterday. But it was Rashford lifting La Liga yesterday, and it was if he played with Bruno, then he'd have won the league United by now.
That's quality hate.
So, the other games this weekend. Should Jorgensen be making the save from Gravenberch? They point out very quickly, wasn't in the corner.
No, it wasn't. And that guy, he's indebted to me. He's not even got credit in the bank. He's in debt. And his footwork's poor. He hasn't shifted across to his goal quick enough. He has one more step to his left. He saves that. Or he has two more steps to his left. He probably catches it. So I'm not saying it's not a good shot. I'm saying Gravenberch took it early, which basically caught him unawares. But that looks like a keeper that the last time he played was chucking 3 in against PSG.
Wasn't there this...
like a couple of months ago.
I mentioned this to TK on Saturday, and I plan to research it again before today. Wasn't there a story that Sanchez and Tosin had a scrap at Chelsea training, and that's why both were left out of the squad?
I haven't heard that
Saturday.
Story. So
I read that, and I believe it was from that Cy Phillips that has a Substack for
Sanchez,
Chelsea.
It's the head clash of heads they get with Morgan Gibbs White is the reason why he was left out, concussion protocols. But yeah, I don't know.
Maybe I read some nonsense, maybe not.
I haven't heard that, but yeah, I think...
I don't want to say it too confidently.
I feel like Sanchez would have to really fail a concussion test.
Yeah, I think,
how would you know for the most part?
Like a decent keeper that's on decent form, that's in fine felt that's played all season, saves that. But it is a good goal.
No, in real time I thought, it's a great goal. And then on the replay I was like, no, the keeper should definitely do better. Like Raya stops it, doesn't he, for example, if that's...
Any top 5 keeper in the league stops that. I'd even have Jordan Pickford saving that. Like that's
small arms. If you look at where that goes, it's tough for those small arms.
But he would have got himself across his goal a lot quicker.
And he'd have found someone to blame if he didn't.
Yeah.
I know he'd have done that.
Palmer missing that penalty while Jesse Derry's head is half on the turf last week was... got to score that.
Didn't think that was a pen, by the way, even though they half murdered the poor lad.
Yeah.
Didn't actually think it was a pen, but yeah.
We did waste a good portion of the first half hearing Ali McCoist and Darren Fletcher debate whether Colwell can really go to the World Cup. And that seemed like it was never ending.
We pivoted straight from that to Fletcher just constantly bantering McCoist that McCoist thought that Fofana got a touch on.
Yeah.
Just didn't stop. He's like, McCoist, we're going to have to check your goals record if you're claiming that. It's all right, Fletch, that was a good one. Yeah. McCoist, seriously, we're going to have to check it, Fletch. What are you doing to me? I'm stressed. Team's playing shit. I don't need to hear you talking nonsense.
Should Van Dijk have done better with his volley, or is it just he's a centre-back?
It's a good chance, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's... I mean, he's praying that he's offside because...
So pre-game, I thought you were going to do some nasty stuff to Chelsea.
Yeah, I tell myself that most games. All right, we're going to turn it on this week. And you did acknowledge you'd forgotten some of our injuries in there as well.
Well, yeah, I didn't... The Salah one, I'd forgotten. I didn't know about the... Because
if he had fucking started,
he's had a big injury
different
previously, hasn't he, Wirtz, in his career?
Yeah.
I think Calafiori might be in the same boat sometimes where they can be overcautious sometimes, and sometimes they are like what other players
in the
would
player
play
is
through.
or is in the staff with them.
I think sometimes other players will play through.
If you want to talk about half committing to challenges, Florian will probably do that for you.
You both have it in the net, but both have it be offside. I thought quite alarming that Cucurella looked like the best winger on the day across both teams. For sure.
Yeah.
I think I said to you at the weekend, didn't I? In my mind's eye, when he was at Brighton, it was really him being allowed to get forward, and even at Chelsea, like when you kind of had him as the third of a left of the three at the back, I was like, what the hell are they doing with this guy? He was at his best getting forward with it, and he obviously just look at him. He's not really a third centre half, no. But even considering your options in a minute, it made total sense to try and get this guy further forward, especially considering we just weekly rotate a midfielder into right back. So you may as well.
I saw the clip of him doing his own chant after the Euros the other day, and just when you think you can't hate someone anymore, he is a horrible bloke. I can get right to the end, really, because in
that first half, by the way, I thought we were, in particular with Vile, just terrible. Like
I think we grew into it as
the way we stood off.
Yeah, but then it was two bleeps fighting. Towards the second half, basically.
Very much so.
They kept commenting in the booth saying what a cracker of a game it was, and I thought
it was not.
It didn't ever feel like it was going to explode into something. Just it was more end to end than I think we anticipated it to be.
Just things popped up every now and again. You thought, have we just taken that or just done this differently? It wasn't like a barnstorming, you score, we score. It was, we might maybe do something, and you might maybe do something, and that's pretty much it.
I thought they were very fortunate that you didn't have a penalty at the end of this game.
That was a pen. That was that. I know there's a rule of if you're guarding the ball, but he's genuinely just got his leg in front of a defender and he's been kicked in the back of the leg.
It's clumsy, isn't it? It's very clumsy. I was worried when they were looking at it.
And we've had a couple of those. We've had one a couple of weeks ago against City. We've had one where there's been a tangled up legs in the box and they've just not been given. If there was more on the line, I'd be a bit more upset.
You did your research for the wrong team.
But yeah, but it was just...
I did think it was probably a bit worse, a little bit like the Mateus Nunes-Schade first one, where it just looks like, oh God, that looks scruffy and you've left yourself open to it. I didn't think it was like an outrage that it wasn't given, but maybe I would say that. But I thought it was definitely, once they started looking at it, I thought you can definitely make that a pen.
Something riding on this game, if it was for Champions League for us or whatever, I think there's a bigger hoo-ha. If Arsenal don't get given that penalty against West Ham, your head's on the moon. So, but it's just...
It wasn't we won.
Yeah. So
I didn't mean to.
But then the players probably also then surround the refs, and there's a whole different dynamic to it, isn't it? There's a whole almost the attention on the VAR that might change their outcome.
I didn't mean to overlook their goal, because I think we've seen those goals before where the free kicks whipped in and misses everyone. I've never seen it from that angle before for everyone
That's because
to miss it.
any other team isn't going, just fucking, here you go, here's the back post.
Yeah.
They're just going, do you want to come in, sir?
Yeah.
Honestly, team's thick as shit.
I did think that. It was just... I've never seen the ball go through that channel and be unchallenged. Usually there's a runner that cuts that.
No defender goes in there, keeper watches it go in. Everyone to a man, just zero instincts at all.
To offer some credit, he didn't like this style of play earlier. Chelsea do a very good job of blocking and making sure the path is there. Now, they obviously expect that someone's going to turn it in. Half time, I thought they were particularly harsh on Gakpo, who I don't think any Liverpool fan is keen to jump to the defence of. But Crouch said he's been bullied there. Now, if I'm trying to stand my ground and you're trying to move me, it's far easier with the moving start to bosh me out of the way. Yeah. I just think that's one of them that you can be on your toes a bit better, you can be alive to it happening. I thought they were a bit harsh on him in particular for that one.
Again, going back to what I was saying before, there's something riding on that. That goal's not conceded. Like
I don't know.
I don't know. Earlier in the season, we did still think things were riding on it, and we were conceding them. It's just a brain dead team at the minute. I thought the main thing, I think the bullying thing was, I thought in the first half in particular, we got outfought by a team that kind of doesn't have that much fight in it, and we got outfought. I think that directly led to the frustration of the fans that you saw later in the game. There was almost open dissent where somebody stood off player, it was either McAllister or Gravenberch, stood off a Chelsea player, and why the hell aren't you pressing? And there's been a whole thing this week with the players having time off and going on holiday and stuff. Not a great look when you then come back to work on the weekend and you're not running around. People go, what the hell are you doing? I paid X amount of money to go and watch you, and you're kind of fucking about here.
We've been outrun by every team this season, apart from
Liverpool. That was the first one.
I think every single team has outrun us, apart from
literally the polar opposite of what we were. Literally, just a year ago.
One of those tweets that, when you kind of catch it properly, really made me laugh this week, and it was about you being linked with a player, and the tweet said something like, Arne Slot and Cody Gakpo are still deciding their transfer plans for this summer. I love it when you see the inside jokes of a fan base with like one, because everyone has the one player in their team that kind of gets Madueke. Unfortunately, is that guy at the moment, Gyökeres, ran around enough against Atleti that
found his way out.
Yeah, because he had a stinker yesterday as well. My overriding emotion from this game, if there was to be one, was just how Frimpong is one of the most useless players I've ever seen in this league. When I think of the money spent on him, what he's come in to do, can't play right back, can't play right winger. Curtis Jones should not be right back ahead of you.
Well, no, that is a sign of it. But then it's also, we seemingly, now that Salah's out, don't have anyone to cover him, so he's playing there, so it's a mismatch all round. I think there's been flashes with him where you thought there's a dangerous player, but in the last couple of months, he does just look like a speed merchant.
There was a realisation for me in the game that we had against you at the Emirates, where Lewis Skelly got shifted there in a bad point in the season for him. And Frimpong beat him for pace and then seemed to stand there and say, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. And over the course of that half, I actually don't need to be worried when you're on the ball. Unless you can run it into the net, we're not in trouble here.
There's a spell early in the season where he'd just come back from injury, and look, again, he's been in and out with injury as well, so another one. But where he would come on off the bench and you thought, do you know what, his pace and directness, and he was actually picked out some crosses. I know that sounds, but he actually did pick out crosses. I thought, okay, there is some technical ability here. And then, to be honest, I haven't really seen it in like about half a season. So it does become hard to defend. I don't know. I don't think he's necessarily the biggest problem we have, but he's not looking good at the minute.
No. And then just really across actually on Chelsea, you would say it was encouraging based on what you've seen recently, particularly that Forest game last week. But it is now 6 games since Chelsea last won in the league. March 4th was the last time Chelsea won in the league, where they respected the ball against Aston Villa. Might need to start doing that again.
I can't believe that. It's honestly, it's mental. Like,
I'd forgotten the 3-0 loss to Everton
Yeah.
in there until I was looking back at your results.
I saw the graphic of our league standing 2 months ago versus now, and no points changing.
Yeah.
And I just thought,
Oh God.
fuck, I really have just sat through all of that.
I think at the point where we had 8 clean sheets, you had 6, I think, and we now have 18 of them.
Bloody hell.
It's honestly crazy. It's our season, like I said, imploded on the 75th minute away in the Parc de France, or Stade de France, or wherever PSG play. And we looked like a pretty good unit right up until that point. And ever since then, it's like everyone's just gone, well, fuck this. I want to be fit for the World Cup.
Everything points now that I believe your number one choice, Xabi Alonso, is Chelsea's number one choice, and that's who they're in communication to try and get over the line. And he hasn't ruled it out.
I think it makes sense.
You can start to piece things together when you hear the news that Iraola looks like he's going to go into Palace. You think, okay, well, United may want to keep Carrick. Then you hear Chelsea obviously don't want him, and you start to see the pieces falling into place.
Yeah.
Felipe Luis has got Fabrizio Romano to tweet out today that he's looking for his a European club next, and you think, okay, well, he's not in the talks for the Chelsea job. Then you start breaking it down in Bournemouth.
Yeah, I think
they got there, Marco Rose.
If
I forget they've actually already hired them. Yeah.
like I said, you need a project manager. I was hoping it was going to get so bad this season that they have to learn from their mistakes. They've got to hire up next. They can't hire down again. And Xabi Alonso winning the Bundesliga whilst not being either Dortmund or Bayern, pretty impressive. So, hey, look, let's hope they actually make the right decision for a change.
And also your thing about them, having an improved performance against Liverpool. I don't think anyone doubted that they can do that for that game. I don't doubt that they can do it for a bigger game. They can get themselves up for it, and I don't doubt they'll beat Spurs because that's just the way things are. But that's the thing about this group, isn't it? But you'd have no confidence if you said they've got to go on a run of Brentford, Bournemouth, Brighton, all those. You go, I don't fancy Chelsea. It doesn't shock me if Forest turn you over or Everton turn you over.
If you look at our season from April last year all the way through the Summer World Cup, and then to literally 75th minute against PSG, it's not been a bad season. We're on track to get Champions League, but we've killed our season dead in 2 months.
At a certain point, more than the Champions League has to be considered.
Well, if you look at it, we've just done Villa 4-1 away.
Yeah,
and then with a better
you were in
team.
contention. No one thought you were winning the Champions League or the league at that point. Still,
well, we were still probably the better team in that first leg, and then we just basically just blew it all up.
Yeah, but I just mean like.
But yeah, which probably proves your point right.
Yeah.
You can't trust this lot.
Villa can also throw you a bone as well. Look what they did for Spurs.
Yeah.
All right, last couple of bits. We've spoken about VAR quite a significant amount today. Can you believe the referee needed it to send Joachim Andersen off?
Oh my God, no.
And that he's taken to Instagram after post a screenshot of him touching the ball and say...
Oh, no, he hasn't.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You dive in with 2 feet. There's kids not even doing that on the playground anymore.
It's
That's
great.
the stuff I would used to do when I was like a kid.
It's great when you see you won't believe they had to go to the monitor for this, and then you see it and go, oh my God.
Yeah. That was a This Is Football L2 where you're going to fucking...
This is football.
Because,
Brilliant.
Ryan Christie, obviously, that one earlier, I can see how you give a yellow card for that and then see the replay and go, well, actually, that's quite nasty.
Yeah.
Get him off.
Yeah.
But this, even in real time, the force in which he went into it, you're like, fuck me,
see,
that's an obvious red.
And it's like seeing a professional footballer jump 2-footed into a challenge is so alien to us now.
Yeah.
It's such from a bygone era. You're like,
Yeah.
it's like the Leo kind of.
Yeah.
Like what?
I'd be so pissed if you're his teammate or his manager or fan. You're going.
I saw some
literally,
fans saying he's exactly what Palace fans warned us we were
fucking
getting.
brain dead. We've got a chance here. Bournemouth are flying. They've gone down to 7. Let's get into half time. We'll get into him second half, and he's basically cost them. I mean, I've got to say, if you've inspired Doku, you have put some sort of juju on Joachim Andersen, because it's gone from, if he was kind of a mid-level player, ever since then he has been determined to prove you right.
So PGMOL made sure Ryan Christie couldn't play against City. The agenda.
Jesus.
Nice finish from Elliot Anderson after my guy gave Newcastle the lead in that game.
So I heard his obviously when his goals tally. Yeah, when they said it, it's actually again very good, isn't it?
I'll try and say he has to go to the World Cup.
Yeah.
Over Gordon.
Yeah.
I think Gordon should go.
We did a squad. He didn't drop Gordon.
No. But then they said Ismail Assar's on 20 for the season.
Yeah, I thought there was like 16 of those against us.
This is what we've got.
Because how's that?
This is what we've got to play on the last day.
Oh, I'm so sick of this guy.
Get me out of this room.
Yeah. All right, we can probably do that. I had forgotten to thumbnail options.
Yeah, nice job options.
But that probably does bring us to the end of another edition of the. I was cheesing in that moment.
If you could crop Trossard into this, it'd be like you just met him, like a kid who's just met him.
AI him into the back like that.
That brings us to the end of another edition of the Spitballing Pod. I should make you aware now, for better or for worse, as I'm sure you can understand, very, very big game for Arsenal on Monday. Unless City win on Wednesday, and then probably not much to think about in that game. But we aren't going to be recording a podcast during it, or I'm not going to be editing during it. So we're planning to record straight after the West Ham game on Sunday, where maybe they can get relegated to give us something to talk about. I don't know. But hey, maybe Jack will be there. He's got to clear it with his boss. And me and TK will be there. Someone else will be in that chair if it's not Jack. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Adios.